Alright guys, it's been a little while since we've covered Steven Crowder, and I think it would be a good idea if before we get to this, you and I looked at the fan art section. And I say that because I feel like going over Steven Crowder is gonna make me feel a type of way. And not like a great type of way, just a way that is frustrated. So let's go to the fan art section real quick and show you guys this. This piece comes courtesy of Zoe, said part of this year's GoboTuber, I drew Suris as a slime goblin. Aw, I'm guessing it looks like me. I think that's Nyara, and that looks like Senna. So Senna, me, Nyara, and Brooke. Is that Brooke to Valley? Hold on, are there other cameos? Hold on, I gotta stealth so I don't die. Give me a second. What are cameos are in here? Nyara, Brooke, okay. Well, that's just cosplaying Rouge the Bat. That's cosplaying Goku. I don't know who that is. Okay, so I don't know a bunch of the people away from the table, but I definitely see Senna, me, Nyara, and Brooke. That is adorable. That is adorable. That is fucking fantastic. It almost makes up for the fact that we're going to watch Steven Crowder together, Zoe. Oh, I'm so sorry that we have to do that. But as always, thank you all for your fan art submissions. If you want your fan art to be shown in a future video, the best way to do so is to drop it into the fan art section of the Discord. That said, let's go ahead and take a listen to Steven Crowder talk about SNAP benefits and why he's a Memory Martin, I swear to fuck. Oh, there, you got your thing. The channel points are redeemed for? Yeah, you're doomed, redoomed. Fucking hell. I already got to deal with being louder with Crowder, and now I got to deal with, I can't make up a funny rhyme with whatever the fuck you just made me do? Nothing. All right. Redeemed. Avalon, thank you for redeeming your points for an you fucking DJ. Okay.
Gulf.
Wild caught
shrimp.
Gulf white shrimp.
This is the real deal.
And you're sure this is all right. This has nothing to do, my opinion, by the way, with the recent shutdown. I know it was a hot button issue, but I know that awareness has been raised. I think we need to cut SNAP, period. Food stamps, okay, if we want to be a generous.
I think we need to cut SNAP. I just really like it when farmers don't have subsidies to function and also families starve. Steven Crowder's opinions, everybody. He likes when families starved and when farmers lose out on the ability to sell their crops. That's who he is. That's the kind of guy he is.
Generous country? Sure. That's not what SNAP is. It's a failed program. It is designed to be abused. And
how is it a failed program? What is the aim of SNAP? Because the aim of SNAP was was in order to allow us to have a subsidy for our agriculture industry. And in that, I would say that it's been very, very successful. But also, if the aim was to feed people, then I would say that its failure is that it hasn't fed enough people. Oy, oy, oy.
And as you know, SNAP benefits were one of the most contentious issues during the recent shutdown.
Around 42 million Americans depend on the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, also known as SNAP, to feed themselves and their families. But the government shutdown lasting more than 40 days and weeks of legal wrangling by the Trump administration to keep from paying SNAP benefits are taking their toll.
So Donald Trump is the one who's politicizing the SNAP program. He's the first president in history to fully suspend payments for SNAP.
They showed that the Republicans don't actually believe their own BS when it comes to...
It shows that the Republicans don't actually want you to be taken care of. The job of the government should be to take care of the people that they are governing. Otherwise, why the fuck are they taking taxes? Why the fuck do I owe you money at the end of the goddamn year if your job is not to then redistribute that money in a way that benefits society? Why the fuck do I pay it if you do not use it for something good?
Populism when it comes to
That's
funding
the future
SNAP.
of the left.
Republicans voted to fund SNAP 15 times. Democrats voted to defund it 15 times.
Never in the history of our country, during a war or even a government shutdown, has SNAP recipients
Did you just call her a pedo? Hold on.
Country during a war or even a government
Pedo. Why? Hold on. ever since Steven Crowder lost his Daily Wire membership shit, right? Is he just more unhinged now? Like, now that he doesn't have Ben Shapiro pulling his strings, is he able to just be a more unhinged moron?
Shutdown has SNAP recipients not received the benefits that they were due.
That's why in the middle of a government shutdown and people losing SNAP, I'm going to spend $300 million on a ballroom because I am king.
Well, that wasn't the taxpayer dollars, to be clear. That was
Oh, what a
funded,
nitwit.
but, I'll spend more time on all these snap stats.
Okay, so here's the thing. Whether or not the $300 million was taxpayer dollars, whether or not it was, it says something about the President of the United States when they think that the peasantry of the United States does not deserve to be fed, but he deserves a gold ballroom. It astounds me the ways that multimillionaires, and make no mistake, Steven Crowder is one. It never astounds me the ways that multimillionaires will go to bat for one another, and then people with like less than $100 in their bank account will listen to the words of those multimillionaires and think, wow, this man spittin'.
Well, we're going to talk about caviar. These SNAP stats on Monday, you'll see those and we'll make the references available. But let me just tell you, you may think of SNAP as, hey, people who are down on their luck and they need some temporary assistance, until they can get back on their feet.
No, I don't think of it that way. I think of SNAP as people who need food get food. The amount of time that they may need food may be longer than you think. But people who need food get food. That is my personal vision for SNAP. People who need food get food, and therefore the people who provide food get paid. And it is a way for taxpayer dollars to do good. I have had years of my life where the only reason that I had food in the fridge was because of SNAP benefits. They were the earlier years of my life, to be sure, and to be fair, but they were years of my life regardless. And when I say earlier years, I mean my adult life. Like, this is what I was having to survive off of when I was 18. There's nothing wrong with relying on SNAP. There's nothing wrong with taxpayer dollars that we all pay into being used to feed us. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't mind that the money I have paid at the end of the year in taxes, or beginning of the year, I guess, has gone to fill up somebody's plate. And I don't really much care what is on that plate. Maybe it's Doritos. Why the fuck do I care?
Right, Cinderella Man. That's not what it is. Okay? It costs taxpayers anywhere from $100 to $130 billion a year. The number one purchased item, sugary soft drinks, $9 billion a year alone.
All right. So, fun fact. My girlfriend, Saki, when I went to her house, before she had completely moved in with me, right? When I went to her house and we were getting all of her stuff together to officially move into my house, there was not a lot of food. There were a lot of energy drinks. Why? Because caffeine and calories keep you going more than anything. Do I think that's a bad thing? I think it's a bad thing that people should have to rely on that. But I don't think it's a bad thing, like a fucking moral failing. Oh no, somebody bought soda. Do you know how much it costs me to pay for soda per month? Not counting going out to a restaurant or something, but counting groceries. My soda bill is about $25 to $30 in a given month. Because it costs about $1.50 for a 2-liter, and I can go through one of those between, a day or two. And that is a terrible habit. It is a bad habit. But diet soda is the caffeine medication for me, basically. It allows me to keep going and doing my thing. And thankfully, I don't drink anything with calories, though there are studies that show that diet sodas may actually lead you to craving other foods, because when you get in the habit of drinking them with other foods, your brain starts to associate the two together. Some fun science I was looking up the other night. And there's also some stuff with how it interacts with your body's insulin levels, how your body sends stuff out and it gets a false positive. There are health risks involved with diet sodas. But I'm not here to morally defend diet fucking soda. That'd be a really dumb hill to try to create or die on. If people have soda, what's the moral failing, Stevie?
That's 3 times what we give to Israel as foreign aid, which we should also cut. And SNAP recipients spend twice the amount per grocery trip than non-SNAP recipients. Also, people on...
So, more Americans spend money... Okay, so, a couple reasons, couple things. Do you know why SNAP recipients spend more per grocery trip? Because people who are smart with their money, even if they don't have a lot of it, tend to buy in bulk. Because when you don't have a lot of money, buying in bulk lets your dollars stretch. It costs me to get a pound log of ground beef, $5.50 to $6. But if I were to get it in a 10-pound log, it costs me about $3.50 per pound. Now, I really miss when it was less than $1 per pound of ground beef, but, you know, I live in current year. I live in the current day. I can't change that. But buying food multiple times in multiple trips is what people who are more well-to-do tend to do. They tend to buy more fresh vegetables. They tend to buy more food that can be considered healthier because they don't need to buy food with an incredibly long shelf life. They don't need to buy food that will last a long, long time because they're going to be able to go to the store again tomorrow if they need it. But when you don't have a lot of money, you don't have that option. You go, man, if I spend $30 on ground beef today, I can save money on ground beef. And if I get all of my groceries in one go, I can save money on gas. Yeah, individual trips on SNAP costing more doesn't mean jack shit to me. That's a metric with no meaning. But make no mistake, Steven Crowder is still going to throw that metric at you because when you hear that metric, you think, oh, no, actually, I have a story. First of all, Yoruvexa, thank you so much for the raid. Holy fucking shit. We are talking about SNAP benefits right now. We are talking about what it means to not have enough money to be able to feed yourself, but still needing to be able to eat food. But I have a story. There's a person who used to be a friend of mine, childhood friend. And I think I've told this story on the channel a couple of times. But the conversation that made me not want to be this person's friend anymore was when he was complaining about his job. Not about the job he works, but about the people that he met on his job. You see, he worked in refrigerator and freezer repair. And this one family he was telling me about was a family on SNAP, or it might have been WIC. I'm uncertain. All I know is it was a family that was on government assistance. And their freezer fucked up. Their freezer fucked up. Now, why did their freezer fuck up? Because they had a bunch of meat in the freezer. Now, if you've ever not had a lot of money, but you've wanted to pick up meat, what I was taught to do by my mom, who used to work a very, very low-paying job in a bakery, and that's what she tried to fund my childhood on when I was younger, what I was taught is that you buy meat in bulk. You wait for it to go on sale, and then you pick up as much of it as you can while it's on sale, and in as big a set of it as you can get, so that you lower the cost per pound. Because that is what saves you money long term. And of course, when you engage in that kind of behavior, it leads to you hoarding food, but not in like a negative way, but in a way that you have to do to survive. So her freezer, when I was growing up, my mom's freezer was stocked up with chicken breast. We had a lot of chicken when I was growing up. A lot of chicken, decent bit of ground beef. Because they were some of the cheapest meats you could get, not counting bologna and hot dogs. And we could get it in bulk when it was on sale, usually when it's about to go bad. Now, when you load up a freezer with these meats, freezers do tend to malfunction. Freezers work by circulating the air in the freezer and literally pumping away the warm air from the freezer. Cold air doesn't come in so much as all the hot air is sucked out. This means your freezer needs to be able to circulate air around it pretty well. And when you have a bulked up freezer, it's harder for that air to circulate, and it can cause your freezer to get damaged. You ever opened up a freezer chest and noticed that there's all kinds of ice forming on the sides? That's usually a sign that your freezer's a bit overstuffed. So, A family that didn't have a lot of money, that had a freezer set up identical to the one I fucking grew up with. A person who once upon a time called themselves my best friend told me how angry he was that another family had fucking food. Do you know how absolutely fucked up that is? I had to repair their freezer because they had too much in it. And they're on food stamps. They don't, like, literally, it was a conversation about them being on food stamps and therefore not deserving that food. My anger is directed at people who say that, oh, a person who is less fortunate than I financially has been fed. The, like, basis of basic things that one could have. Food on their table. I do not like when people get upset that other people have gotten fucking food. That feels dumb to me. Anyway, back to Louder with Numbnuts.
SNAP are more obese compared to other low-income Americans who choose...
You know why people on SNAP tend to be more obese? Because the foods that they are getting tend to be less healthy. Did you know that you can get a 10-pound log, you get a 10-pound log of ground beef at Walmart right now, but the 10-pound log is $73.27. More fatty ground beef. You can get a log of ground beef that is 5 pounds, and that can be a 73.27 log, just like the other one, or you can get a nice non-fatty log of chuck. You can get a more healthy log at 5 pounds, and it's going to cost you almost fucking double. The leaner the beef, the more it costs you. What a weird concept. The better the food, the more it runs you, generally speaking. Now, obviously, this is not a perfectly cut and dry scenario. You can find exceptions to everything, but that doesn't change the general consensus. The cheapest foods that have the highest longevity tend to also have less nutrients and tend to have more calories, and those calories tend to come from carbohydrates. Something that your body does in fact need, but when you start jamming so fucking much of it into your body, it turns into sugar in the body very quickly, it becomes very unhealthy, and then your body turns into fat deposits. Whereas when you get that from, say, protein, it takes longer to digest in the body, and less of it turns into sugar as a result, because you are burning it as you go. You also tend to stay fuller longer on proteins, whereas when you are eating carbohydrates, you tend to be full for about an hour or two, because complex carbohydrates break down into sugar very, very quickly. Proteins do not break down into glucose very quickly into your bloodstream. Takes them a lot longer. So you stay sated longer. The two things you need to eat to be sated are fiber, which can be gotten for cheap, but it tends to spoil quickly, and protein, which can be gotten for cheap if you are willing to accept a lot of fat or salt. Two things that in abundance will fuck you up long term. Taryn Ambassador says focusing on nutrition is a luxury for people who don't need to worry about calories. Exactly. Steven Crowder bothers me because, like, he does the basic amount of research to figure out how to spin something for his audience to get mad at a benign issue. I don't know how to explain this to you, but other Americans eating food is in fact a benign issue. It does not matter that other Americans are fed. Moreover, it's not on your dime that they are fed, because once you spend your money into the tax system, it's stopped being your dime. That's like claiming that your money went to a thing when you paid a grocery store, and then that grocery store took that money and used that money to make change for somebody, and then after making change for somebody, they then spent that money at a different store entirely. And then after that, that store used that same dollar bill to make change for another person, and then that person bought a gun with that. You can't say, well, my dollar bought that gun. That thing ceased being your dollar like 5 fucking transactions ago. And that is the same thing that happens with your taxes. It stops being your dime after it leaves your hands. My problem with taxpayer dollars is that they do not get spent on enough things to benefit taxpayers. I think people should have health care, and I think people should have food. I also think people should have houses. I think those should be things that are free at point of need, which means they have already been paid for. They are not free. They are things that have been paid for with taxpayer dollars. And if you're upset with your taxpayer dollars going towards, say, housing, they already do. Call them military bases. We've already fucking done that.
Choose not to use SNAP. 60% of the recipients are able-bodied, and over about a third of SNAP recipients have been receiving benefits for more than 2 years. We don't know how long.
Okay, so here's the thing. When you call people able-bodied, what do you mean by that? Because that can mean quite a few things. Able-bodied can be somebody who has a mental disorder that prevents them from being able to do any kind of work for any elongated amount of time. But they are able to lift a log. So I guess they're able-bodied. Like, that word doesn't have a whole lot of meaning to me. Not on its own.
After that in some of these studies, but at least 2 years. And so, in preparing for this Change My Mind, I went on my phone. You remember in Black and White and the Gray issues, there was a guy who said, food deserts. I said, it's not a thing. Everyone has a smartphone. Mm-hmm. And I thought, let me bring up my smartphone. I did, and I went to Amazon Prime, and they have Amazon Fresh on there, where there's either Amazon or Whole Foods. It said Snap EBT. And I saw that you get 50% off Prime, including, by the way, the video service, that you get deliveries for $4.99 a month, flat cost, and there are exclusive discounts for people using Snap EBT.
Okay, who cares? I cease to see why this is a point or problem. Like, what does that mean? What is that concept? Also, real quick, a food desert is a geographic area with limited access to affordable, healthy food, especially fresh produce, which is often due to a lack of supermarkets and an abundance of convenience stores or fast food restaurants. Now note, it says affordable, healthy food. So when you say, oh, but they have access to Whole Foods, do you think Whole Foods is fucking affordable? You think that? You've never shopped at fucking Whole Foods then. The prices at Whole Foods are at least 30% higher, if not more, than the prices that you can find at your local Walmart. The basic shit at Whole Foods costs more, and then you have to pay for delivery on top of that, than the shit you find in the vegetable aisle of Walmart. Sorry, no. Saying food deserts don't exist when food deserts are an area where it is more difficult to gain access to these things. That's the definition of that. You believe that no area in the United States has that particular definition applied to it accurately? Because Amazon exists? Wild. Absolutely wild.
It's cheaper for those people. And then I thought, well, food deserts, no, it can pretty much be shipped to every municipality in the poor, rich. And then I said, well, let me look and see what's available on Snap. And then I was enraged for about 3 days straight. So
why were you enraged? Why did the idea of other people having access to food enrage you? Just ask yourself that question for a minute. Just consider for a moment the kind of person you have to be, the kind of human being you have to be, where the idea of people having access to food that they could even enjoy, mind you, makes you angry. Just think about that. How many of you have seen any iteration of A Christmas Carol? Like, literally any of them. It doesn't matter. Any of them will do for this. I can't think of anybody that gets mad that the poors have access to anything other than, like, bad porridge. Then fucking dude from A Christmas Carol, Ebenezer. I cannot perceive of an actual human being who feels that way. But then there's Steven Crowder here. Tao says because if they can't afford to buy food with their own money, then they deserve to starve and watch their kids starve. Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense to me. Crowder is an illogical person who hides behind a veneer of logic to sell you spite. He sells you hatred for your fellow man. and he masquerades it as logic and truth. It's no different than an anti-Semite selling you the idea of the Jews being the reason that everything has gone wrong in the world. They sell you fear and hatred. CyberShield says, has Crowder ever had to live on like $964 or so a month with an asset cap of $2,000 before it impacts the benefits you need to continue to exist living, like life insurance? Sorry, to exist like insurance. No, I don't think so. That's also a thing that pisses me off. There's a friend of the family that I actively don't like being around because of the last time that I had a conversation with them. And I mentioned that if it weren't for the ACA, Saki and I would not have access to healthcare. We could not afford it. And therefore, we'd be kind of fucked. And he said, well, how would you be fucked? I don't know. My girlfriend has a condition that is actively harming her right now, and we have not been able to get it fixed for a year of having fucking health insurance. But we've been able to make at least a little bit of progress, a tiny bit, with nothing ever fucking coming of it. But in an ideal world, we should have been able to get something fixed in that amount of time. And the only way that we'd have access to that is the ACA, because she doesn't make enough to afford health insurance, and I don't make enough to afford health insurance. CyberShield says life insurance, Medicaid, car insurance, if you manage to afford a car payment somehow on that little cash. Or car repair costs. You might be able to get a car, but not have a car payment, but then you won't be able to afford keeping the car. Like, it is wild to me how much of Steven Crowder's content is just selling hatred of your fellow human beings. It seems useless. Like, it's utterly useless stuff. I think the only point of information that comes from Crowder is to teach other people how to suck off millionaires. They did it. They deserve it. They deserve everything that they got. I also keep on walking in the wrong direction because I keep forgetting that to go north in the city, you have to go south along the hill line. Fuck this city.
It's time. I decided to bring the feast to you. Everything you see can be purchased through using EBT in the SNAP program and delivered straight to your door. Everything you see could be delivered to Jackson, Mississippi.
Right. So, all right, let's take the average EBT benefit, right? Most people, actually, you know what? We're going to do this. If you're in the chat right now and you get EBT, how much do you get a month for EBT? How much do you get a month for SNAP? When I was relying on the program, it was $200 for my situation that I was in. It was $200. And that was when I was 18. $298 for Sarah Chikorita, $298 SNAP. Okay. So we'll say $300. PJ Blazer says about $400 for 2 adults. Oh, the $298's in New York. Ah, okay. That changes things a little bit. But okay. $298, we'll say $250 then, because that's New York. Zamian says, I can't get stuff delivered. Ah. So even being on the program does not necessarily guarantee that you can get stuff delivered. What a wild concept. Steven Crowder doesn't consider that there are other circumstances around him, but let's say that you had $250, right? Let's say that that's the median between the New York amount from today and the Florida amount from fucking 10 years ago, right? That can get you enough food if you are buying shit like ramen and hot dogs and bar S bologna. That can get you enough carbohydrates and protein for a month without much else. You couldn't really afford much else at that point. Not really.
It's time for our Snap Feast.
I'm Snap Fancy, sticking prosciutto, little Debbie and crab cakes, caviar with Oreos, you can call us Snap Fancy.
Okay, so he's got a funny bit here about that. Okay, let's see what all is here. Let's see what all is available. Is he going to give us a price point? Is he going to say how much all this costed? Because this would be a very poor grocery run. Like, this would not be a good grocery run. Not a very healthy one. But okay. Let's see here. Let's compare what we've got from Crowder here. Calculator. What do we have here, Crowder? What do we have? We've got a bowl of Takis. Okay? That's I like how some of these things are spread out more to make it seem like more. But okay, we got a thing of Takis. Takis are a name brand chip. Name brand chip is going to run you about $5 at the grocery store. Okay. He's got a party bag of Skittles. That's going to run you about $12 at the grocery store. Zebra cakes. That's going to be about $3.50 depending on where you're at. Let's see here. And then this is all candy. That's just the fucking candy from here. That's just the candy from there. Okay. Captain Crunch cereal. Okay, that looks like a family-size box. Name brand. Family-size box, name brand. It's going to run you about $6. Then you've got Kool-Aid. The great Kool-Aid. Drunk by poors forever. A specific racial category of poor people that Steven Crowder is not trying to allude to at all. Anyway, that tub of Kool-Aid probably going to run you about $8. We've got some fancy foo-foo water. I would assume that that's like $13 for that case of fancy foo-foo water. And that fancy foo-foo water looks like it's standing on a case of the fancy foo-foo water. So what's the fucking point? Just like the Coca-Cola here. Like, that's a 12-pack of Coca-Cola, empty because he's got the Cokes in front of it. So that's going to run us another $4 for that. By the way, when you're buying soda, don't buy fucking cans. Waste of money. Get non-name brand, get 2 liters. Anyway, but then we've got some shrimp here. That bag is likely a $15 bag, depending on where you are. That steak there, that cut of meat, is that ribeye? That looks like the marbling for the middle of the chuck. So I'd say that that's ribeye, which can be a tougher meat. That one is probably running about 12 to 16 a pound, depending on where you get it. So I'd say that that is looking a little bit like a $20 steak right there. Let's see here. They have the pan here. That pan at Kroger right now, that pan runs you about $3 less at Costco. We'll call it the $3 it is at Kroger. Those are cheeses from Kroger or Walmart. Those cheeses right there, it depends entirely on what cut they are. So that looks like an aged white cheddar. That block right there probably runs you about $9. Those 2 blocks look a bit smaller. Those are probably $6 each. The Ghost energy drinks. How much Ghost is there? $3.99 a can, but it looks like it was bought in bulk. So what's a 12-pack of Ghost going for? A 12-pack of Monster is about $23. I'd assume it's about the same there. What do we have over there? Is that a singular onion or is that an apple? That looks like an apple. An apple is less than $1. Sure. The truffle hot sauce. That shit is awful. But that shit is like $6 for it. Chocolate truffles. The Lindt ones, I know, are about $8 to $9 for a box like that. We'll call that the $9 one. That's a singular bar of chocolate you can buy for about $5 if it's a fancy one. What is this? Is that tea bags? I think that's tea bags. That's going to run you about $4 for a box of tea bags. Let's see here. What is this? Is that a bad charcuterie board? I have no idea what that is. Yum Earth. Yum Earth makes candy, so is that just a box of organic candy? So what is that, like a $30 box? Like, is that just a $30 box of candy? I'd assume so. Which means the fucking candies there are maybe from there. There's another bag of candy right here, but that looks like a cheaper bag of candy. Call that $10. The Tony's chocolate there is about $5 a bar. That bag is probably close to $10. That's what I was figuring. That looks like this guy right here, Tea Pigs. And that just looks like a fucking gift basket back there. That gift basket is probably going to run you like $25 if it's not a super expensive one. And what is Tea Pigs? What the fuck is that? That seems to be what he's got. How much does one of these things cost? $26. Fuck. Okay. 26. That's Tea Pigs. All right, so I've calculated everything here except I don't know what this is. What is that? What are these 2 things? Is that ice cream? I think that's ice cream. And that just looks like a generic fucking wafer snack. So a pint of ice cream is going to run you about $3 to $4. A thing of wafers like that, probably about $5. Okay, so that just leaves the caviar and the mystery bag back here. It's a mystery. Oh, looks like Dum-Dums? Fucking mystery bag of candy, probably $8. And then, of course, the caviar. What's the prices of fucking caviar? Why does caviar range from $20 to $6 to $2,200? What? What brand of fucking caviar is that? What caviar comes from a fucking blister pack? Is it that? Is it that right there? That's it. That's it. Found it. What's the price? $99 for that? Okay, so you can get a $100 caviar. That's $100. That brand looks to be $100. Okay. So our prediction is $365. Okay. So 1/3 of the price here is the caviar. My assumption, based on the prices that I can think of from when I go to the store, this looks to be $365 of food. What does he say it is?
Mr. Josh Firestein. Very nice.
Yes, well, I have quite an arrangement.
Hold on, we need to bring up his mic there a little bit, Billy.
Yes, please bring up my microphone. So.
All right. Very nice. You look very dapper.
Hear me buttle over here.
It's white gloves. I love how you...
Loud with Crowder, of course.
And very...
Yes, yes, it's
sport,
it's the ultimate decadence for...
Yes.
Okay, so it was T-Pigs. Got it. That is just a generic fucking gift basket. That's probably more. Now that I've seen the gift basket a little closer, I'm gonna have to add 20 to that. That looks like $385.
Loud with Crowder, of course.
And these things are all available via Snap.
Yes,
correct?
That's correct. Everything.
What do we have?
Well, we have first. I mean, we got to start with an appetizer, and no appetizer better than the Tsar Nikolai.
Okay, so that's prosciutto. Okay, prosciutto. That's going to be about a $10 package of prosciutto.
What grade is it? Estate grade.
Estate grade. I know.
Estate grade.
It's so absurd.
I almost forgot. Yes, estate grade white sturgeon caviar.
Oh, that's $69.99 an ounce.
Yes,
$69.99. Okay, so I thought that was 100. So that was $69.99.
I would open it, but I'm not wealthy enough to touch it.
The caviar, I think, as I understand it, Mr. DePaulo, you're a fan of caviar, right?
Yeah, Russian hooker I dated.
Well, would you like me to open it for you, sir?
No, I would not, because I don't know how long that's been sitting under the lights.
Well, not that long, and it just so happens we have a nice pearl spoon for you.
Give it to, in case he changes his mind.
Yeah,
here. You
It'll
can
bring
have
back memories, Nick. Go for it.
You
can think of Tatiana while you...
Yes, and
can't wait to shit on the plane.
And then later...
Well, it's going to be delayed anyway. Don't worry.
And he could probably, it'd probably be good to serve that.
Okay, I'm bored of this. Get me to the final price.
We have... did I say it right?
Are you familiar with that one, Nick? I know you're a...
Parmigiano Reggiano.
Oh, got a thing of Whole Foods. Wait, is the steak from Whole Foods? Is it a $40 steak from Whole Foods?
Did I say it right?
Are you familiar with that one, Nick? I know you're a...
I'm not. I'm not that greasy.
This is $11.96. It's a good solid piece of cheese.
Yeah. $20.99 a
break a
pound.
window.
Aha! I think I was right. Did I say $12 for that hunk of cheese? I think I was right. I think I was actually 100% correct on that.
$29.99.
Well, you got to help people get back on their feet.
Jeez.
Yeah, you got to help people.
This is light.
Some people have had some tough breaks. They need $20
Look at
a
this
pound
cheese here, Steven. This
What is
cheese
this?
here, this is Spanish cheese.
Spanish cheese.
Goat cheese. It's called drunken goat cheese.
Drunken goat cheese.
It's soaked in wine.
It's soaked in wine.
It's soaked in wine,
Well, I want
just like
my
the
snack-
person eating it.
Yes, I want my SNAP recipients drunker.
Yes. Get them
As they
drunk
sick and
and get them driving. Oh, I lost my rag there.
That's okay.
$21.99 a pound.
Yeah, yes. Get them drunk and driving so that they fucking die, I guess.
That's really...
Whoa.
$21.99.
Well, here's the thing. When you think SNAP, you think...
Okay, I was incorrect. Granted, prices of cheese vary a lot. But okay, so what's the point of this? The point of this is to show everybody that you can get some nice things on EBT. And the poors don't deserve nice things. That's the point of this. Does he finally say what the final price of everything was?
At 8 with your...
Okay, what's the final price of everything?
Know this.
Thank you very much. Steve, but it feels good to give once in a while. So the SNAP recipients, you can. It's good to receive, but it feels good to give once in a while. So the SNAP recipients, they give with your
You
taxpayer
don't have to
dollars.
undo it. It's a nice bow.
It's a $99 gift
Stop
basket.
it.
This is how the people who buy it would treat it, Gerald.
Okay, I added $20. I undershot. I would not spend $100 on a fucking gift basket. So the point is that that gift basket is filled with foods that one could buy individually on Snap. And therefore, poor people don't deserve this, I guess.
To their neighbors who threaten to steal and riot if they don't continue to get these benefits.
It's a form of socialism, and it's their end goal.
That's exactly right. Yep. Yeah. $130 billion, I believe, it was either 2022 or 2023. And then last year, it settled back down to about $100 billion.
10% of that on sugary drinks.
$9 billion.
Wow, it's almost like we drink more drinks than we consume foods. Wow, what a concept. Pernilla says he's not going to do the total.
Great.
Yeah.
That's me at
the
left.
Well, but look,
so does he? So he doesn't get to the total.
I lived around and crap.
You go on Amazon.
So he doesn't. So okay, I think I figured it out. So Crowder's point, if there was one, is that you can get good things on Snap because they meet the definition of what you are allowed to get on Snap, and that is bad somehow. If somebody on Snap gets caviar, it doesn't fucking affect me. Like, they then have to spend more of their money on food, and maybe they're going to be behind on bills, and now they're learning fucking lessen a fiscal responsibility you desperately want them to learn. Like, restricting what they can buy, I don't think does anything other than just lets you engage in performative cruelty. The point Steven Crowder is trying to make is that he wishes he could be more cruel to poor people. That's really what it boils down to. Because the fact that expensive things can be bought on Snap is not an argument against Snap. It's a dumb argument. But he gets to dress it up in a bunch of showmanship, so you end up laughing at it going, ha ha, oh my god, it's so funny. Poor people don't deserve chocolate, and the obese shouldn't have Coke. That's what he gets to. That's what his point is. His point is for you not to think. His point is for you to engage in his own performative cruelty. Hammered Electric says they grossly overestimate the value of Snap. We should be able to buy stuff for the holidays unless you don't believe in the poor can have a Merry Christmas. He's Scrooge. He doesn't believe the poor exist in anything other than a fucking torture chamber in the middle of a ghetto. Anyway, that's Steven Crowder, everybody. He's a wonderful human being. Don't you love him? Hey, you made it to the end. I want to give an extra thanks to the patrons who allow me to do this full time. I want to thank Aaron Rail, Astral, Britzkrieg, Jemshin, Poundini, Red Joker, Victoria, Jonas, Craig, Tarika, Fireshard, Smiling GM, John, Dren Hadamada, Creeper, Sagitta, I'm not saying that last part, Valis of Seraph, Ottoman Angel, Rooster Rachel, and Fire Panda, who are all my $20 and up patrons.